We'll get to more phone calls, 877-3DP Show. He's Joe Thomas, Hall of Famer, joining us on the program. Good to see you again. We've been talking about the playing surfaces and the fact that yesterday the NFL says, hey, we're going to conduct another study here on the playing surfaces. Why are we here where we can't have a universal playing field? Surfaces, either AstroTurf or regular turf. And why did it take maybe injuries to a couple of marquee players before we all of a sudden have everybody's attention?
Well, it just comes back to the fact that the owners didn't want to all agree to spend the money to invest in the fields, because you got teams like the Cincinnati Bengals. They don't want to even pay to get the snow removed from the seats of the fans. So they're saving every dime they possibly can. Whereas you have some teams that are willing to spend the money on player safety. I think it was the Baltimore Ravens a few years ago. They realized that, hey, turf fields, they're not good for players' bodies. And the people that suffer the most are our own players, because they play the most games in our home stadium. So let's make this the best surface we possibly can. That's going to reduce the most injuries possible and keep that consistent and uniform. And so I think it's just a matter of those NFL owners haven't all been able to agree on what it takes to get that consistency. And the union really just doesn't have enough power to be able to force the hands of the owners.
Worst playing surface you ever played on?
Well, I hated playing in Cincinnati on their old turf because of how hard it was. I mean, just standing on that, I could feel it in my back and my knees. But I would say playing in Soldier Field, like at the end of the year, or playing in the old Heinz Field when they used to, I think they still maybe do play like the high school championships there. They play Pitt on Saturdays, and the thing is just a mud pit by the end of the season. And so there is no consistency at all with your footing. But I'm not a fast guy as it is. So, hey, I was happy that everyone was a little bit slower and we were all a little bit more at the same speed when we played in those really greasy, nasty tracks.
As a Hall of Fame lineman, how would you put into perspective what Myles Garrett is on the verge of doing, setting the all-time sack record?
So until Myles, I don't ever remember watching an NFL defensive lineman from my college days all the way through the days that I was playing and now as a fan, where I said, I'm watching him, I don't think that I can block him more than my fair share when I'm at my best. And that's what I say about Myles when I watch him. I played against him when he was a rookie and I was in my last season, and I barely had a chance to try to block him and get a glove on him then. And he's like 30-40% better than he was at that time. And so I watch him and I say, I don't know how I would have been able to block him one-on-one. And I think that's the mentality that a lot of offenses, basically every offense that he's gone against this season, has said, because nobody's blocking him one-on-one. Even the best tackles in the game right now are not allowed to go against him one-on-one because he is so dominant. There's nobody in the game that can block him consistently throughout the course of an entire game.
How surprised were you that he kind of took back the trade request when the Browns were willing to make him the highest paid defensive player?
I was really surprised because I had talked to him throughout the course of the holdout, where he said he's not coming back and it doesn't matter. He's all about trying to win championships. And, I go on the radio a lot in Cleveland, especially. And, I want to make sure that if I'm saying something, it aligns with what he's thinking and what, he is trying to get done, because I want to make sure that this is true, what I'm saying about him. And he was telling me that it doesn't matter what the money is. He's frustrated. He's ready to leave. And unless something drastically changes from the vision that they have, he was not really ready to come back. And of course, they decided to make him the highest paid defensive player, which was surpassed by Micah Parsons later on.
But the vision didn't change, Joe. This is not a good team. He's not winning anything anytime soon, and maybe not in his career.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm trying to tell you that they must have said something in their little witch's brew that they had going on before they gave him that drink.
I think they just said, how does $40 million feel? We're not going to win anything. $40 million? All right, you know what? I don't need to win.
I think it was partly that, but I do think that they had convinced him of some vision that was more convincing than the fans have gotten of, hey, we're going to win a championship. You're going to be part of it. And I think a lot of it probably honestly had to do with Jim Schwartz on defense, as his defensive coordinator loves him. And they do have a really good defense. Didn't play well last week against the Bears, but I think they kind of built up the fact that you could be part of this great historic defense. You could do amazing things like chase the sack record. And oh, by the way, we're going to invest in our offense. Maybe not year one, but we're going to get it right on offense with a quarterback, adding some weapons on the outside. And then in year two, we're going to be competitive and have a chance with this great defense led by you. And oh, by the way, you can finish your career where you started, which is very rare in the NFL. And so I think all those things kind of put together made up maybe 40%. And then, yeah, like you said, 60% was, hey, we'll pay you a lot of money. And like, okay, that sounds good too.
Have you seen enough of Shedeur Sanders to offer a definitive opinion?
Not yet. We need to see him the rest of the season. We saw a really great game a few weeks ago where he had over 300 yards passing. He led their team on a long drive to finish the game, to put them in position to make a 2-point conversion and tie the game going to overtime. Of course, they called a weird play and Shedeur wasn't on the field for that. But that's a different topic. But at least he did the things that you need to do to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL, which is you got to get the points and the yards that you need when you need it. And that's usually in the 2-minute drill in the fourth quarter. And he was showing steady improvement. But then last week there was regression. And it's a little bit challenging because his offensive line's banged up. His receivers are playing hot potato and throwing the football to the defense. And so it's a little bit difficult to look at everything he's doing out there on Sundays without being in those meeting rooms and know what he's being asked to do and properly evaluate him. But with the amount of up and down that we've seen so far, you need to see him in these last 3 games to be able to declare him the franchise quarterback of the future.
Could you come out of retirement like Philip Rivers?
No. No way. I had my hip replaced in the spring. I'm sore enough after sleeping 5 or 6 hours without rolling over.
You got a new hip.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, there we go. I'm fixed.
You're better.
Let's do the Bo Jackson. I'm ready. Fix the other one. Fix the knees and the back. Just turn me into a robot, a bionic man. Give me an AI brain, and I'll be ready to go back out there. Sign me up today for maybe some future gains potentially.
But could you imagine trying to protect Philip Rivers? Let's say you're playing at your all-pro level, and you got a 44-year-old quarterback, adding to even more pressure, and you're playing against Seattle. Are you going to hold on to your defensive lineman a little bit longer than normal?
There's definitely going to be some decisions in their minds about, okay, I got beat. Should I just let him go and not get a penalty? Or should I save this man's life, who's the same age as my dad, and just go and tackle him around the knees and not allow anybody to touch my quarterback? Because, yeah, there's a lot of pressure. You know, there's a lot of pressure when you got a quarterback that can move a little bit and that's young and that can withstand some hits, but I'm not sure that Philip Rivers is there anymore.
Yeah, but he's out there. He's out there.
He's giving it his best. I give him credit. I mean,
okay, how did we get to this point, Joe? That our best option is a 44-year-old guy who hasn't played in 5 years and never had a strong arm and certainly doesn't have that now.
He did a pretty good job last weekend. I'm not sure how long he's going to be able to do it. I mean, hey, he gave his team a chance to win.
He did, but the defense gave them a chance to win. They played really good defense. Philip had a touchdown pass. Look, I know it's a great story, but I gotta call it as I see it. His arm is so weak. And I'm just amazed that some of those passes, they're bad. Really, they just float.
I mean, they were floating when I was playing and when Philip was 30 years old. So you can only imagine it's probably not going the other direction. So you give him credit, but it does say something about the development of that quarterback room in Indianapolis that they didn't trust any of those guys. They'd rather have Philip come off the couch at 44 with a noodle arm and say, hey, here you go, prop him up there. Hopefully you can give us at least a few passes without throwing an interception and we might win the game.
How would you feel if you're against Myles Garrett and he needs one more sack to break the record? Fourth quarter, and you're blocking him.
So I'm assuming that we're winning because we're playing against the Browns, unfortunately.
Of course
right now,
you're winning.
Browns.
Of
so
course
we're
you're
winning.
Yeah, you're going to win the game, but you're going against Myles Garrett. He needs one sack to break the record, and it's fourth quarter. And I
wouldn't give it to him, but what I would say to my quarterback is, hey, hold on to the ball as long as you need to throw the ball into the end zone. If we get a touchdown, great. But if Myles sacks you, that's okay too, because I always cheer for players I don't always cheer now for teams, obviously the Browns, but I love Myles. I think he's doing it the right way on the field. He's given incredible effort playing the game the
Yeah.
right way. He's a great team player. He says the right things off the field. And so for him to be able to hold that sack record, I think would be special. And to be honest, I was a Packer fan. And when Brett Favre rolled out and laid down on the turf to give Michael Strahan that record, I felt like it was a little bit tarnished. And I would love to see Myles with that sack record where everybody says, without a doubt, this is the deserving sack champion of all time in the NFL.
You're joining us on behalf of the officially licensed Uno game of the NFL. What's going on with Uno in the NFL?
That's right. I'm not shoving Hall of Fame beef sticks in your mouth this time like it was last time when we were there in Green Bay. But it's really cool. I'm super excited that Uno, which is one of my favorite family games, has put together this Uno Elite Playoff Tournament being held right now all over the country on hobby shops. And anybody can sign up. It's free to enter. And if you register, you get a chance to win an amazing thing that Uno's giving away. 3 days, 2 nights, trip to Las Vegas for their Uno Elite Championship. The winner is going to walk away with 10 grand. But most importantly, the most coveted trophy of all time, if you're a child in America, or if you're a parent of a kid, and that's the Uno Elite Trophy. You're walking around with that peacocking a lot better than if you had a Hall of Fame bust like I have behind me. That is really the Taj Mahal of trophies if you're a dad or if you're a kid.
Fans can sign up at UnoEliteChampionship.com. Great to talk to you again. Happy holidays to you, Joe.
Happy holidays, Dan. Thanks for having me on the show again. Great to see you.
Great to see you. Yeah, I don't think how many sacks did he give up? Was he called for like 3 holding penalties in his career? Like the numbers are pretty crazy.
Something crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like where you go, what?